Okay, so arc and angle measures, intersecting chords and secants and tangents. So what are you going to be able to do? You're going to be able to find the arc measure by certain formulas. So knowing these angles, angle 1 and angle 2, you're going to be able to find the arcs. So if two secants, or chords, okay, intersect inside a circle, then the measure of the angle formed is equal to half the sum of the measures of the intercepted arcs. So in order to find angle 1, you're going to be looking at AD and BC. So the two arcs that are around angle 1. In order to find angle 2, you're going to look at the two angles that are around two arcs that are around angle 2, which would be AB and DC. And you're going to take half of that. Now, one thing that you need to remember, showing this right here, angle 1 and angle 2, it does not make any reference that they're central angles. Not one thing in here represents central angles. So you need to make sure that you don't confuse that. And it also doesn't represent anything of inscribed angles. So since we're talking about secants, we need to go to the Parts of Circle Dictionary, which is your first page of your notes, and you need to do the definition. So the definition for secant a line, and actually I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to write it out so it doesn't take up too much time. So if you can see up at the top, up here, you can see I defined for you the secant vocabulary, and you should put that in the front of the notes. I don't have it on my video here. A line that intersects a circle in exactly two places, and there is the picture that you should copy down for the circle, also on that front page. So if we're looking at number 1, we're looking for the measure of angle AED. So we're looking at this angle right here. Okay, we're looking at that angle. And it's a good habit to look at the arcs and say, okay, I want to do the bigger arc first, then the smaller arc. Why? Because when we get into the next couple sections, we're always going to want to do the bigger than the smaller. So the measure of angle AED is going to equal 1/2 the measure of the bigger arc, 109, plus the smaller. So 1/2 equals, this combined is 154. Half of that is 77. Yes, that is all it is. So for number 2, we want to find this one. So remember, you have to do the setup. Have to do the setup. So the measure of angle STR is equal to 1/2 the measure of the bigger plus the smaller, So remember, we want to find STR. So these are the two arcs that rotate or are around it. So 1/2, combine these two is 298. And the answer is 149. Number 3, the measure of YWX. So we want this one right here. We want that one. So I want you guys to notice that we don't have these. We want these two right here. We need to get those two. But I also want you to notice that this is a semicircle. So you could find this one right here by doing 180. So 180 minus the 43, you could get that. Or you could get one of these angles and then just do 180. Why don't we do that instead? So let's solve for, let's just do this one right here. Let's do that one. So let's do the measure of the angle XWZ. And the reason we're going to do that is because then we'd have to do another 180 to find this arc right here. Why do 2? Is going to equal 1/2 81 plus 43, 1/2. Add those together, we get 124. This is going to equal 62. So this guy right here, oh, it's a really bad 62, guys. Let me fix that. And again, I hope you guys are checking my math. So if that's 62, 180 minus the 62 is going to equal what? I hope you guys did the math. 118. So the measure of angle YWX is going to equal 118. Yes, you have to do that. I should have been doing that on the other two. So for the rest of these, here's the answer. The measure of angle LK. Oh, we want the arc now. We want this guy. This is not a central angle. So maybe we should do this one. So the formula is the measure of angle LNK is equal to 1/2 74 plus let's let this be X. Okay, so this is 62 equals 1/2 times 94 plus X. Let's get rid of this 1/2 by multiplying by 2. So that right there is 124. Those cancel. 94 plus X, subtract the 94. And X equals 50 degrees. So the measure of arc LK is 50 degrees. Very nice. Number 5, the answer is 183, and this one is 107. Okay, so for on the circle intersection, if a secant, so for this one, the secant and the tangent, if they intersect at the point of tangency, then the measure of each angle formed is going to be equal to half the measure of its intersected arc. So for example, my stylus just decided to crap out on me, which I'm not happy about. So if we're talking about angle 1, then the arc that angle 1 is intercepting, which is this guy, is going to be half of that arc. So it's just like an inscribed angle. Excuse me. Angle 2 is going to be half this arc. So if we're looking at number 7, we're trying to find the measure of DEG. So we're trying to try to find this angle, this entire angle right there. So we're trying to use this entire arc. So the measure of angle DE, sorry you guys, I'm using my finger at this point, so it's a little difficult. DEG is going to equal 1/2 the arc, which is 308, which is going to be 154. When we're looking at number 8, the answer is going to be 84. We're looking at 9, the answer is going to be 58. These formulas are important. Remember I told you in the beginning that we wanted to do the bigger first and then the smaller. Okay, so for this one, this is where it matters. So CE, arc CE, is your bigger, and your arc BD is your smaller. So for the formula, the measure of angle A, which is this guy, is going to equal 1/2 times the measure of arc CE minus the measure of arc BD. And the same goes with the rest of them. So the first one is 2 secants, the next one is a secant and a tangent. So this right here is your secant, where this one right here is your tangent. Okay, so if we're looking at this again, this one's going to be your bigger, and this one's going to be your smaller. So again, 1/2 times the measure of arc BD minus the measure of arc BC. And then if you have 2 tangents, bigger, smaller, one-half times the measure of arc BDC, because they're going to use the same. You got to use that D minus the measure of arc BC. And I guess because of my time constraint, I'm going to have to do a couple of these in class, and then I will have to do the next lesson with you guys.